Well, see, that almost looks like a Texas Longhorn, doesn't it? But that's a cracker cow. Okay? And also they had cracker horses. These cracker horses were small, but they were tough as nails. And they were bred. So this is some of the mares and foals there. Okay? This is a typical Brahman bull. You notice the hump. And this is Bos indicus, some of you zoologists here. And whereas our domestic cattle are Bos, what is it, Bos?
Domestica?
No, Bos, Taurus, Bos Taurus. What's wrong with me? Okay, this is another nice shot of a Brahman bull. You notice they have all that loose skin. They have a very pendulous sheath there. And of course the typical hump on the back. And a lot of these are used, of course, in rodeo, for rodeo bull riding and so on. This is one of the showgirls.
Sir.
Yes.
Is the hump bone?
No.
What is the hump?
It's primarily connective tissue and muscle. And what some people do is make corned beef or beef and cabbage and so on. But no, it's not bone. Now these are some other Brazilian, Indo-Brazil breeds. But see, they also introduced the Brahman from, I should mention that the Brahmins originated in India. That's their native home. And they came to this country. And so, but see, you remember in India, cattle are rather sacred. And they're, why they have so many, but so they run in the streets of the cities even. But anyway, and this is Duda's Ranch. I'll mention that a little more. This is down at Cocoa. They were big showmen at one time. When I say showmen, they exhibited their animals in the Texas and the Southeast at different shows. Okay, this is another picture of Deseret Cattle Ranch in 1985. You notice there's quite a bit of Hereford breeding, it looks like, in there. But you see the calves? Okay, go ahead. This is a cow and calf this year, just a recent picture. But you see the calf, and then at Deseret they've developed a breeding program, a systematic crossbreeding program of three major breeds: Brayford, Brangus, and Cimbra. And this calf happens to be have quite a bit of Cimbra in him. But you see, that's quite a beefy type calf, and he's there with his mother. Go ahead. And see, this calf is nearly as big as his mother. This is a Angus-Brangus cross. Okay, this is a recent picture down at Deseret of their cows and calves this fall. This was taken just about a month ago. So, let me see. I think there's one. Oh yes, this is Finley Pate, and you know what? All of you know what IFAS is, and he was the director down at Ona. Have anybody ever heard of the range cattle station at Ona? Probably not. John, you have.
Oh yeah.
Well, see, there's one guy that's fairly right in here. No, but I mention this because I wanted to mention in my remarks some of the contribution of various areas to the cattle industry. So Finley was the director down there at the range cattle station, and it's interesting. This station was started in the 30s, or late 30s and early 40s, and it was the first range cattle station where they used native range in addition to improved pasture. And Finley just retired this last year. Okay, these are some cow and calf operations in Florida. This is Deseret Cattle and Citrus, which is, as I told you, is in St. Cloud. They have approximately 40,000 cows and about 300,000 acres. I might digress just a moment and tell you about this ranch. This ranch was started in 1950. It's owned by the Mormon Church. They invested in that property in 1950, and they've enlarged it. And so I've been associated with that ranch ever since I came for the 50 years. That's why I mentioned that. And so you see the Florida ranked their first on the nation. They're first also in number of cows per one ranch unit. Now there's ranches out west or owners that have more total cattle, but they're scattered in different locations. Okay? The Likes brothers, that's, as you know, down in Tampa area and Brighton. They're number 4 in the nation, with 17,000 cows, ranked second in Florida. The breeds is Beefmaster, Brangus, Charolais, and Angus cows. And this is the ranch I was telling you about, that the cows died, that it didn't cost them anything. But that's not true today. Alico is the, if you read the papers or keep up with Ben Hill Griffin's properties, this is his family farm, Alico. It was owned by the Atlantic Coast Railroad one time. It's down at LaBelle, and they're second in Florida. No, I think this should have been third in Florida. Yeah, right. And the breeds they have there are primarily Brangus and Brahman crossbreds. Okay, this is the Seminole tribe. I wanted to mention this. Henry, you'll be interested in the Seminoles. The Seminole Indians had cattle in the early days, and then in 1963, their cattle were run, the Indians down in this area, down around Okeechobee, they ran them as a tribal herd. Each owner had his own brand. He might own 30, 40, or 50 cows, and they ran them together. And so there was a suggestion that they try to produce their own bulls there for their own service. Well, Fred Monstioka, some of you may have heard of him. He was quite an important alumnus of the college. And he suggested to Coger and Joe Crockett that they do have a selection program. So they selected a 300 cow herd out of their thousands of cows to be a select herd to produce bulls for the tribal herds. So that's how I was connected with it somewhat. But anyway, that was a really good experiment. The problem has always been importing bulls from other areas. From the north, from the west even. 2 things wrong. Well, several things wrong. First, you got an adaptability problem, because our Florida is quite different than the Midwest or the West. And also, you had diseases here, anaplasmosis, a disease of the blood, red blood cells, that's transmitted by a tick. That was a very devastating problem. So, as a result of these 300 cows, then some of you cowmen might be interested. They were selected on the basis that they had a large calf at side, because they weren't identified. They had to have a large fetus inside, so that meant they had 2 consecutive years of reproduction, right? And that was our big problem here. So, okay, this is one of our people in Florida, Bud Adams, of the Adams Ranch down at Fort Pierce. Maybe some of you remember back of Judge Alto Adams. He was on the Supreme Court in the 30s. Anyway, he established this ranch. This is his son, Alto Jr., or Bud they called him. And doesn't he look like a typical Western cowboy? But he's really a cracker cowboy. Okay, go ahead. Well, this is the Adams Ranch. His son, Michael, now is the present manager of the ranch. He's a graduate of our department. And they were the ones that developed the Brayford breed of cattle. And you ought to be able to figure out that. The Brayford is a cross between the Hereford and the Brahman, right? And so they were the pioneers in the breeding and the development of that breed.